Imagine, if after death you get reincarnated into another world but the god accidentally made you the strongest being, what would you do? Haruto is a bullied boy who had withdrawn from the world and had spent 5 years secluded in his room to escape the bullying. However, while watching porn, watching his phone late at night, a bright light shines and he sees a goddess in front of him, leading him to realize that he passed away jerking the chicken. She mentions that she has given him cheat powers to have an easy life. Haruto, who just wants a simple otaku life and likes lazing around, is excited about his reincarnation. After that, he was reborn in another world as a baby prince, bearing the royal sign on his body. The king, excited about his son's potential power, orders a magic test to measure his abilities. The king and his wife, also known as the Princess of Light, have even defeated the Demon King. So, he expects his son to be at least level 40 or 50, but soon everyone is disappointed to find out that he only has a power level of 2 and no attributes. Also, he can only use barrier magic. The king wonders how he could birth such a powerless child and wished he used some protection at that time. Fearing the judgment of others, the world's best parents decide to claim that their child died at birth in order to throw him away in a distant forest. Meanwhile, in the heavenly dimension, Goddess mentions her mistake to another goddess and tells her she accidentally set his level to 1002 while the limit of the magic measuring tool of this world is 2 digits. Helpless and alone, Haruto finds himself in the forest as a defenseless infant. Remembering his ability to create barrier magic, Haruto conjures a cube as a protective barrier. He experiments with its size and shape, using it to levitate himself. However, his solitude is interrupted by the appearance of a large wolf. Panicking, Haruto defends himself and casts hundreds of small cubes to defeat the beast, but they prove ineffective. So, he lifts trees with his barriers and throws them at the wolf. But the wolf still stands up, so he prepares to crush it with a hill, but suddenly a voice offers to surrender. Confused about the voice's source, Haruto proceeds with his attack. Once again, the voice interjects, and to his surprise, it was coming from the wolf, so he stops. Using his barriers to translate his thoughts into words, Haruto communicates with the wolf and explains how he was thrown away. Intrigued by his strength, the wolf wonders if Haruto is the reincarnation of the Demon King and he plays along. The wolf mentions that it's from a Flame Fenrir clan and offers to kill her. But Haruto didn't want to harm her and he starts leaving after calling her Flay. She acknowledges him as his master and promises to devote her life to him. Suddenly, Haruto's energy depletes, and he collapses to the ground, desperately needing nourishment. Flay transforms into a hot fox girl with giant assets, and Haruto asks her to put on some clothes, but she looks even more hotter than before. Haruto asks to feed him, but Flay takes off all her clothes and mentions that she cannot produce milk as she has not made it. She asks his master to penetrate her glory wall with his Excalibur, but it would still take him years before he can actually use it. As they ponder their predicament, someone approaches their location. Haruto suggests communicating with the person before taking any action. Using his barriers, he establishes a telepathic link between himself and Flay. When the man arrives, Flay confronts him to determine his intentions. The man claims to be a relative and expresses his desire to rescue Haruto, and even brought him milk. The man shares a heartfelt story about his wife's miscarriage, expressing his desire to take him in. Moved by his words, Flay is brought to tears and agrees to go with him. He also leaves behind false evidence of Haruto's death. Haruto begged Flay to get the milk, but she insisted that the only milk that he will be drinking is from her assets. Fast forward 9 years, Haruto has grown up under the care of Margrave Gold, living happily with his new family, and Flay serves as their maid. Initially, he planned to leave, but due to the kindness and comfort they provided, he ended up staying. Although his relationship with his sister Charlotte is somewhat tense. His mother tells him that Charles doesn't know how to approach boys of her age, and he thinks that Charles might have sensed his true age, making her resent him. Haruto's mother encourages him to venture outside more, reminding him of his responsibilities as their heir. However, Haruto considers leaving with Flay but knows it would upset them. He has created a duplicate of himself as a substitute, but it remains motionless and voiceless. I'm looking forward to his future doll collection, as it looks like he might be able to create a harem with his own hands. His father insists on teaching him swordsmanship, and Haruto reluctantly agrees. Surprisingly, Haruto displays extraordinary abilities during their training session. His father is puzzled as he dodges his attacks easily, which should have been impossible for someone with a power level of 2. Haruto questions his power level, which remains at 2, despite his true strength, and the highest ever recorded was 77. He thinks it might be because of the blessing from the goddess with huge assets. Later that evening, Haruto's father confides in his wife about his suspicions that Haruto may be a demi-demon, and Charlotte overhears their conversation in shock. Afterwards, we see that Haruto is relieved that he can continue to be a slacker as his father Gold stopped giving him sword lessons due to his busy schedule. Suddenly he hears a commotion outside, and using his magic, he investigates and witnesses injured soldiers. Joining Gold, they assess the situation, revealing persistent thieves attacking their lands. They received intelligence about their hideout and launched a counterattack but fall victim to a surprise ambush. Gold blames himself for the situation, and asks Haruto to return home, deeming the scene unsuitable for a young child. As Haruto walks away in frustration, Flay accompanies him, insulting the soldiers. He asks the foxy bimbo to shut up and continues, secretly casting healing spells to restore the wounded soldiers to perfect health. Gold is also surprised about this. At night his sleep is interrupted when he senses Flay outside and realizes that she took his command literally. He grants her permission to speak, and she offers an apology, but the dumb bimbo still doesn't know why he was mad. Haruto uses his magic to locate the thieves' hideout, realizing they have a spy among them. Determined, he vows to kill them all. Activating his magic, he and Flay soar through the sky, catching the attention of Char, who was still awake. Meanwhile, while the celebrating bandits plan their next attack and mock Gold, Haruto and Flay abruptly burst into the room. The bandits try to get into their fighting stance, but Haruto casts a barrier to freeze their movements and tosses Bucky Beaver against the wall using his magic. He wants to interrogate them and warns them that any lies will result in their death. Interrogation reveals that they are soldiers from a neighboring empire, who are sent to cause internal conflicts. The revelation of an unidentified collaborator within their kingdom shocks them. Haruto realizes that his father's life is in danger. He thanks the bandits before instructing Flay to burn the fort and kill them all. Seems like the bandits received a scorching send-off, and we've got ourselves an MC with questionable morals. As they leave, he decides to send an anonymous letter to his father, providing a detailed account of the events. Gold receives the letter and report but remains puzzled about the enemy's infiltration. Wanting answers, he orders an investigation. When Char inquires about the individuals who dealt with the criminals, Gold suspects Flay, as she is the only one who can control fire to that level, plus her efficiency and lack of compassion are clear marks, but he chooses not to disclose the truth. Char's curiosity about Haruto's actions grows even more as she recalls witnessing him and Flay flying away. So, she asks Flay if there are two of him, as when she visited his room after their departure she saw him sleeping on the bed but it wasn't his regular scary aura. The foxy bimbo unintentionally reveals that Haruto possesses immeasurable power, far surpassing humans or demons. After learning that Char had discovered his clone, Haruto decides to monitor her activities using surveillance barriers. Char continues to follow and spy on Haruto relentlessly, and the dedicated little detective doesn't spare him, even when he's taking a bath. However, he acts like an ordinary child to avoid raising her suspicions. Following a week of stalking, Haruto learns that she along with his mother, Natalia is going to an upcoming annual festival. He suggests bringing along Flay but realizes that she is busy with keeping the local monsters in check following his command. While he is resting in his room, his surveillance alarm alerts him, indicating trouble. Empire soldiers have trapped Natalia and Char during their journey, and their own soldiers struggle to defend them. Natalia tries to defend the soldiers' attack but gets hurt in the process. Suddenly, a small cube beside Char appears, guiding them to escape. They reach a cliff, and Natalia uses her magic to descend. Although her mana is low, they manage to make it. They are then guided to a cave. She tells Char that the hero of justice has guided her and will come to help her, and asks her to stay there so that she can go and get them. When she comes out, the cave gets covered by an illusion magic. Looks like there was no reason for her to come out, but now it's too late as the soldiers have spotted her. In order to avoid capture, she decides to end her own life, but just then the dagger shatters and she is knocked out by stun magic. With his magical powers, Haruto rescues Natalia and defeats the Empire soldiers in seconds. He carries Natalia back to the cave and alters his voice to remain unidentified by Char, and asks her to take care of the unconscious mother. Char, sensing a scary aura, calls him by his name, and the dumbass turns around. Well, it seems keeping a secret identity is overrated. Char questions if he is a hero of justice, and Haruto decides to play along. Back home, Haruto's father receives an anonymous letter about their safety, raising his curiosity about the mysterious hero. As Char and Natalia finally return home, Char surprises Haruto by embracing him, and their parents are shocked, wondering when did they ever get so close, and Flay is jealous as Haruto's harem begins. Char is now obsessed with Haru and privacy isn't in her vocabulary. She always barges in and insists on playing together, and Haru finds it challenging to handle her overwhelming affection. Curious about his activities, Char discovers his surveillance magic, leaving her impressed. He believes it's a lost magic, but surprisingly, she tells him it's not lost and guides him to the castle library. Haru learns that his barrier magic is related to ancient magic, and never expected Char to have such knowledge, assuming the books were too complex for her. However, she reveals to him that her mother and Flay helped her to understand it, and now she wants Haru to read it to her. Sitting on his lap, they explore stories of gods traversing worlds, resembling an anime plot, and Haru wishes that he could watch anime in this world. Char doesn't know what he is talking about, but he tells her that she wouldn't understand. However, she insists on him explaining it to her. After knowing more about anime, Char expresses her desire to watch. So, Haru resolves to make Char join the otaku club and gets to work. After 2 weeks, he managed to get a modern Japanese internet connection through his magic, and his streaming subscription was still active, which he can access, because he is the MC. He creates a kid's profile for Char and allows her to choose an anime show. Despite her inability to understand the Japanese language, she is still amazed by the animated drawings come to life. Haru thinks it would be hard for her to learn a new language, but he is shocked as she manages to learn it in 2 hours. 2 weeks pass, and we see Char barging in, eager to watch the latest episode of her favorite anime. As she becomes engrossed in the anime, Haru wonders if she is a genius, as she mastered Japanese just by watching anime. However, as her big bro, he feels the need to set boundaries so that she doesn't get spoiled, and limits her viewing time to 3 hours a day. During dinner, Char struggles to stay awake, and her father Gold wonders what she has been up to, but she tells him that they are studying ancient magic. Char follows Haru around, but to her dismay, he tells her she can't watch any more anime and asks her to take a bath and go to sleep. Surprisingly, Char joins Haru in the bath and suddenly starts staring at him and asks about the weird thing on his body. I meant the emblem on his chest. She identifies it as his proof of being an ally of justice, while Haru insists on keeping this a secret, telling her that heroes of justice need to hide their identities. They bid each other good night, but Char ends up sleeping next to Haru, much to their mother's delight, while Haru wishes for his personal space. The next day, Gold leaves for a mission to catch a group of thieves, leaving Char worried for his safety. She is depressed, but Haru assures her that their father will be fine. Char asks Haru to use his powers to fight the bad guys and insists he transforms like in the anime. Reluctantly, Haru agrees and transforms into a cheap version of Zero. Char wishes to go with him, but since it's too dangerous for her to accompany him, he sets up a magical live stream to witness his heroic acts before setting off. Haru locates the thieves in a cave and uses his barrier magic to trap them inside. While typically this should be enough, Haru decides to put on a show since Char is watching. He arrives at the scene, presenting himself as an ally of justice. Despite their attempt to rush him, Haru effortlessly defeats them, deliberately holding back since Char is watching. Just then, Gold arrives, wondering who he is. Haru, who couldn't come up with a cool name, makes up a random name, which meant still pending. Gold wonders about his true purpose and he simply states he is an ally of justice and quickly retreats, feeling embarrassed by the situation. However, Char finds him exceptionally cool and expresses her desire to witness more of his cringe, much to his disbelief. So, he kept going to battles and eventually became known as the Black Knight. Well, at least they didn't name him Zero. Over time, Haru manages to perfect his clone, thanks to the knowledge he gained from the library books. While the clone gains the ability to speak, it mirrors Haru's laziness and personality. As they say, double the laziness, double the fun. Char wakes up in Haru's bed and is shocked to see two Harus. Suddenly, they are interrupted to join a meeting, and Haru asks his clone to take his place. However, the clone refuses, leading Haru to realize that he won't find a replacement for his laziness. Their family welcomes royal guests, Prince Laius and Princess Marianne, and Haru wonders if they are his real siblings. Laius behaves like a typical D-bag. Although Marianne attempts to control him, he shuts her down, highlighting their differences as he is the next heir to the throne. While Haru is surprised by his behavior, Laius calls him out for staring at him and challenges him to a fight, underestimating his level. Haru measures his power using his assessment magic and learns that his level is 9 and his sister is at level 14, while Gold is at 32. Laius charges at Haru, but Haru evades effortlessly, frustrating Laius. He asks Haru not to run away, so he casts a barrier to shield himself and allows Laius to beat him up. Laius continues to relentlessly attack him and asks him to fight back, and Haru decides to show off his abilities by easily overpowering him. Laius then starts attacking him using his fire spell but gets easily absorbed by Haru's barrier, and when Haru tries to throw it back, Laius admits defeat. Marianne apologizes for her brother's behavior and is astonished by his abilities. As Haru returns to his room, he wonders if this will attract the attention of his real parents. Char has been actively patrolling lately, which has been quite a trouble for Haru, as it increases his workload, and interferes with his jerking schedule. The dumb bimbo finally returns and wants to help, but Haru worries she'll cause trouble. He confirms that Flay has completed her other tasks, and she excitedly proposes teaming up. Char is excited about her being Haru's sidekick, and Haru reluctantly agrees, but warns Flay not to use excessive violence as Char is watching. They encounter a group of thieves, and Haru introduces himself as the Black Knight, which stands for cheap version of Zero, and Flay introduces her as the Red Knight in black costume. Flay is ready to attack, and it looks like she's out for blood, disregarding Haru's commands. Haru casts a barrier to save them, and Flay is surprised that it didn't work. As she's about to unleash her ultimate move, Haru knocks some sense into the dumb bimbo, and asks her to head back while he handles the rest. The dumb bimbo still doesn't know why her attack failed, and considers to use more power next time. Haru is exhausted and doesn't want to do it again, but seeing how happy it made Char, he decides to do it with Flay again. I meant the teaming up. Meanwhile, we see Laius, who's still upset about his defeat and wonders how Haru defeated him, despite his lower level. His minister arrives, reminding him to prepare for the dinner party, and suggests inviting Char to join them as his partner for the ride. Laius initially dismisses the idea, but he insists that it's for his sake and he reluctantly agrees. After the dinner party, Char arrives with his clone carrying his dinner. The clone tells him about the miserable experience he had. His clone is miserable being his double, and jumps into bed. Char mentions that she has to join the inspection tomorrow as the prince has invited her, and Haru wonders if he has a lolicon, which is ironic coming from a guy who bathed with her. Seeing his clone exhausted, Haru decides to take Char on the tour instead. Later that night, Haru checks the tour route for Char's safety. He sees a suspicious group summoning something, so he decides to investigate. The men are shocked to see him and attack with spells, but Haru effortlessly defeats them. A magic circle activates, conjuring creepy skeletons. Haru battles them, but they keep rising until he notices crystals on their chests. He turns the skeletons against their own. The leader summons a huge golem, which knocks him into a tree, and he mentions he underestimated its power, but he spots another crystal and attacks it, making the golem fight on his side. Their leader wonders what happened, and he explains that he accidentally controlled it while trying to restrict its movement, and apologized to them, and I'm not sure if he really meant it or was being sarcastic. After that, he captures the men and interrogates the leader, threatening to bury them all, and plot twist. It's revealed that all the attacks were planned by the queen, his biological mother, to assassinate Char because she fears Char will surpass her. Well, now we know where our MC inherited his dark side from. Haru grows furious, and determined to protect those he loves, he vows to challenge the queen, even if she's his real mother. The next day, we see Flay on top of the ride. Char tries to cheer up Laius about his defeat against his brother, but ends up adding insult to his injury by mentioning that he should be proud to score a hit against him, when he never stood a chance at all. Laius asks him how he did it, and he just tells him that he can use enhancement magic just by thinking about becoming strong, shocking Laius and Marianne. They wonder if he is a demi-demon, and Char explains to him that when human and demon get married their children are known as demi-demon. I like how naive Char is, who thinks it's required to be married to have children. Marianne thinks it makes sense, but notes he looks like a normal boy, and Char vouches for him, telling that he has smooth and clean body as she has bathed with him, causing both Laius and Marianne to be embarrassed. As they wonder how perverted Haru is, Char asks if that's not allowed. Marianne tries to explain the deeper meaning of bathing together, but she becomes brain-dead just thinking about it. They arrive at a wheat field, and Haru chats with his father. As an example, he asks him what would he do if the queen targets Charlotte's life. His father is surprised and reveals that he got a letter from the Black Knight which mentioned he defeated the queen's wizard. He acknowledges the real threat, and Haru mentions that she should disappear, but his father points out the chaos it would cause, as she was the one who beheaded the Demon King, and is considered a hero. He believes Char will grow stronger, and has the potential to be the queen and suggests Haru looks out for her until then. Flay offers to take out the queen, but Haru declines, considering it personal. He believes the queen will try again soon, so he decides it time to give his real mother a visit. Back at the emperor's palace, the queen, Giselot, questions her men's excuse for their failed plan to kill Charlotte. They reveal that a mysterious man known as the Black Knight, who is actually Haru, is defending Gold's family, and also defeated the summoned mages. Giselot is frustrated with her men's failures and even throws wine at one of them. She mentions that she wants to kill Charlotte because she sees her as a future threat to her position. Giselot decides to confront the Black Knight alone and kill him using her holy sword. Just then Haru arrives, and he easily defeats her men using his barrier magic. She wonders how he managed to get in as she has set up barriers, but he mentions that he broke them easily. She attacks him with her magic and traps him in a water bubble, but he easily escapes it. She then attacks him again using ice crystals and fire magic. However, Haru is unharmed and attacks her with his own magic. She barely blocks it and Haru continues to overwhelm her with his powerful attacks. Her mana continues to deplete as she tries to protect herself, and she wonders if he is stronger than Demon Lord. She goes on to attack him with her holy sword, mentioning that she is the strongest in the world and no one can beat her, but Haru is not impressed and defeats her easily. After that, he punishes her by binding her with a slave collar and tells her if she tries to remove it forcefully, her head will be severed. He asks her to stay away from Gold's family and their state affairs. He tells her that only he can remove the slave collar, so she should behave if she wants to be free. Leaving Giselot in despair, the Black Knight bids his goodbye and leaves. Overwhelmed with mixed emotions, Giselot laughs and cries, feeling like a slave in her own domain, wondering how everything went wrong. As Haru leaves with Flay, she asks why he went so easy on her, and he tells her that he won't be so forgiving next time if she does something again, and the sadist bimbo is excited about it. 5 years pass, and it's wintertime. Ever since Haru had warned Giselot, there has been no incident. Haru feels the chill and boredom, but Char and Flay enjoy the season. Char builds a food badge, while Flay builds an amazing snow castle, shocking Haru. While checking out Flay's huge assets, he wonders if she's not feeling cold. Flay pretends she's fine, but she's actually shivering. Haru uses magic to transform them into warm winter clothes, and Flay feels relieved and thanks him. Char then asks Haru to perform a special move that she is unable to do, and he agrees, while Flay wonders if he has a Siscon. Based on Char's instruction, he performs the special move and creates a hole in the ground. Char is happy to see it, but just then their parents arrive and notice the hole. To avoid suspicion, he quickly conjures a fake Black Knight clone, pretending he was responsible for the damage while showing them a special move. Char agrees with him, so Gold lets it off and they continue to have fun. After some time, Gold chats with Haru and mentions that everything is peaceful as Giselot is no longer after Char, and rumors say she wears a slave collar, staying inside her palace. Gold reveals Haru will attend the Magic Academy in the capital after winter, but Haru resists, not wanting to face school horrors. He gets depressed, as this may be the end of his otaku life. Later Haru tries to talk it out with Gold so that he can avoid going to the academy. Gold mentions that the king himself has recommended him and he can't do anything about it. Gold assumes that Princess Marianne has taken a liking to him, but Haru suspects Giselot's involvement. Reluctantly he agrees to go, and Gold suggests that he needs to find a caretaker. Haru doesn't want Flay as she is troublesome. Natalia offers, but they refuse, finding it awkward. He decides to think about it later as they still have 3 months' time. After that, Haru, being the ultimate slacker he is, decides to skip going to the academy by planning to send his clone, who refuses. Haru mentions that if his power got exposed it would become a problem with their otaku life, so he plans to use the magicless clone as a scapegoat, and promises to put an enchantment magic for protection. Haru also mentions that he can always create new clones, and reluctantly the poor clone has no choice but to accept. After winter ends, we see Haru resting in his lakeside cottage which he built over 5 years that he can use to shut himself in, and play with his thing to his heart's content, I meant the video game. However, his peace is interrupted when Char and Flay join him. While Flay is here to clean, Char is there to watch anime. She shares her struggle with limited anime time due to her studies, and she's not allowed to visit his room since she's now a lady. To help her, Haru decides to try out teleportation magic, so that she can visit him. He tries first with a ball and it works. Now for a real person test, he asks his clone to go through the teleportation gate, but he refuses to be his guinea pig and mocks Haru for being afraid to test it himself. Flay gets annoyed by this, and she goes to the other side and throws the clone back. Haru then creates a teleportation gate to the castle, and as they leave he remembers that he still needs to find a caretaker. This is where the video ends. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next part.